So this is the Gaahleri GAD39. I've been using this airbrush now for about 18 months, maybe 2 years in fact. And I thought I'd do a quick video on it because everybody's always recommending, oh, you should absolutely buy an airbrush and all of that. But when you first look at them, they're expensive and actually you're probably gonna kill them. So I thought I'd do a quick piece on why I really like this airbrush so much more than my more expensive airbrushes that I've used in the past. I'm probably going to break this or fling it, so let's get on with it. So if you rush off to the description and click on any links at the moment, or you're just heading over to Amazon or something, you will find that this is a really cheap airbrush. And when I purchased it, I think it was about £30, and sometimes it goes down as low as like £25. It normally hovers about 40, so it's always up and down in terms of pricing. So it is a very cheap and budget affordable airbrush. So why would I be recommending this when I've used something like the Harder & Steinbach Evolution or my Iwata airbrush? And there are a couple of reasons. Now, in my opinion, this airbrush is perfect for those of you who are just starting out with an airbrush. You are doing your traditional painting of your miniatures and you want something maybe to help you do a little bit more when it comes to terrain. Maybe you want to do some zenithal primes. Maybe you're just wanting to get some OSL effect or something like that. Or you want to prime loads of miniatures and you don't have to keep buying rattle cans and going outdoors. This is genuinely perfect for that. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I started off with a more expensive airbrush. So I started off with the Iwata. I then moved across onto the Harder & Steinbach airbrush. And the reason why I ended up buying this was, even though those were fantastic airbrushes that I had previously, is I am certainly not an advanced airbrush user and I do not take great care of them. And when it came to buying the replacement parts, especially for my Harder & Steinbach, first off, they were really hard to find the replacement parts because, I don't know, it was just a bit of a minefield. And then when I did find the replacement parts, the individual bits that I needed, maybe like the needle replacement or the nozzle end cap here, it cost more than buying like 1 or 2 of these, which just seemed crazy to me. So I thought, why not take the risk and buy this as just a genuine replacement to do those basic things like priming and OSL and everything else. So I bought it thinking it would be absolute trash because you get what you pay for, right? So as I said, I've been using this now for about 18 months and it is a really good airbrush. It does everything that I need it to. And if you've watched any videos over the past 18 months, whenever I am priming or doing any glow effect or anything with an airbrush, it is with this airbrush. It is basically everything you would expect from an airbrush. It is well built, it works, and it comes with this really nice box. Now, the thing that I like most about this box, and it might sound absolutely crazy, is in the lid here, it has a full breakdown of everything about this airbrush. So how you rip it all apart and clean it and stuff like that. With my Harder & Steinbach, it had a little manual, but then you had to go online to find a lot of the stuff on here. This basically tells you everything you need to know. Included in the box, you will also get some bits there. So you get your lubricant here to basically give it a good old lubing and cleaning. A replacement larger cap as well if you want to use that, so you can pour more paint into that and mix it all up. You also get replacement needles and like nozzle ends as well. So depending on what type of size you are needing. The sizes of this one do vary. So there's a 0.35mm needle as standard, and then you also have a 0.5mm if you want to do things like terrain and stuff like that. I pretty much stick with just one needle size on there because I'm lazy. And it does pretty much everything I need it to for whenever that's doing more detail work and I want to get some nice OSL, or if that is like just batch priming and stuff like that, it just works nicely. When you first pop it open, it is a heavy and well-made thing. This is just all metal and you could kill somebody with this. Now, when I say it's heavy, I mean it is heavy. That's good and it's bad because it feels really premium. And, you know, when you pick something up that's really heavy, you're like, oh yeah, that feels weighty. That's got something behind it. But if you are doing prolonged airbrushing sessions, just something to bear in mind, it can get a little bit tiring. And that might sound silly, but you're trying to do all this precise work and your fingers are just kind of clutching it and stuff like that. I hold my airbrush like this. This is just how I do it. I know some people do it like that. It can get a bit tiring over time. I airbrush without this end on here. Makes it a lot lighter. And it doesn't ruin the balance. It still feels well enough balanced that it's not like dipping or anything like that. So in my experience, popping that off doesn't really make too much of a difference. It's got a really nice trigger action. I've never had any issues with that. And controlling the amount of paint that is shooting out of there and air and everything else, it just works nicely. So you can pull back to allow more paint out and then push down slowly to fire some more air out, stuff like that. So you do have a decent amount of control. One thing as well, the sort of like tip here, the cap, you can put your finger over it and then pull back and depress, and that will help you to clear out any paint that's in the pot here as well, which is quite nice. It doesn't have any like gaps in it where you then need to get like a cap to go over the top of it, which is always good. Where it starts to fall apart a little bit, and I literally mean fall apart a little bit, is once you start taking it all apart here. So you can pop off your cap and all the bits for the nozzle, you then unscrew at the back here to then release the needle. And this is exactly the same as you'd get from pretty much any other airbrush. You push your needle out forward, never through the back, because that can pull paint into the mechanism. You pull that out. Now there's a couple of things here. On a lot of the more advanced airbrushes or premium airbrushes, they'll have some kind of notch on here to show you what size needle you are currently working with. So like my Iwata and also on my Harder & Steinbach, there are little notches on there that will show you know this is a 0.3mm needle or it's a 0.5mm needle. This doesn't, it's just completely plain. So there's not really any way of telling it unless you put them side by side and compare it that way. So just bear that in mind, you need to make sure you put them in the right pots because otherwise you could mix them up and that could cause some issues. The other thing as well is this bit here, the little button, the trigger. If you turn this upside down, when the needle is not going through it, there's nothing to hold it in place. So it drops out, which is really, really frustrating because there's also this little tiny bit of metal behind it, which helps to kind of keep it in place. And if that drops out, the little bit of metal drops out as well. So what you then need to do is pull this bit back here and then put it in place and then try and slot the bit of metal in there. I make that sound pretty much every time it happens because it happens a lot because I'll be cleaning it out and I'll turn it upside down without holding it. It'll drop out. It drives me bonkers. So something to bear in mind. I haven't ever had that on more premium airbrushes. So you do, in some respects here, get what you pay for. It works with my standard compressor that works with my Iwata and also my Harder & Steinbach. And like I said, this has been my go-to airbrush for a long time. So why do I recommend it to you if you're watching this video and you're wanting to buy your first airbrush? And like I said, if you were like me and you were just doing things like priming, OSL, a few effects here, wanting to get some terrain done, just get all of like your different base coats down, for example, this is a really affordable way of doing that without breaking the bank. At the end of the day, this will do pretty much everything I need it to when it comes to tabletop gaming and painting miniatures. I don't need more. And with those more expensive ones, especially if you are just starting out with an airbrush, you will break them. You will clog the nozzle, you will break parts on there, you won't probably maintain them as well as you should. So for £30, getting something like this that you can absolutely abuse and kill, and then potentially just buy a replacement of it when you do that, and you're still at like, what, £60 there rather than buying replacement parts, that is far better than spending like over £100 to get a really premium airbrush, break it, and then either have to replace it or find replacement parts that cost more than this and at least get used to airbrushing. If you then find that actually this doesn't do what you need it to as you get more and more into airbrushing, you need something a little bit more advanced, great, you've practiced on something that doesn't matter if you break it, and then you can move on and figure out actually what do I need that this doesn't do, and then do your research to find out what do you need to do. I love this. This is a great thing. And I haven't really had any issues with it. It doesn't clog. Well, it does clog if you don't look after it. Of course it does. But I've not had any issues like where it's just clogged and I've spent ages stripping it down and fixing it. It's just been really, really reliable. And yeah, I certainly recommend this. If you're in the market to get an airbrush, have a look at it. So thanks so much for watching this video. It's not a sponsored video. I bought this myself and I bought it like 18 months ago. Gaahleri have reached out to me though and asked if I want to work with them in the future as well. So if there's anything else that Gaahleri offer in terms of other airbrushes or that little weird compact compressor thing that they do, if you want to see anything about that, like a breakdown of it and how they work or how their more premium airbrushes work compared to this, then throw it down in the comments and let me know what you'd like me to work on and I'll ask them if they want to send anything like that over. I think they've also got a couple of deals coming up as well, so head on over to the links down below and if there's anything that takes your fancy, then yeah, have at it. Certainly worthwhile checking out. So thanks so much for watching that video. I need to be really careful I don't fling this at the camera because it is heavy and it probably will break the camera lens. But in the meantime, stay safe, happy painting and happy airbrushing if you pick one of these up. Ta-ra!